My husband thought he was picking up his future. Instead, he was walking straight into his reckoning, and I had the best seat in the house for the show. Let me set the scene. Tuesday, November 12th, Nashville International Airport, Terminal C. I'm standing at baggage claim, exhausted from 3 days organizing Charleston's wedding expo, when I see him. My husband of 14 years, Marshall Hawthorne. Dr. Marshall Hawthorne, holding a handmade poster board that says, "Welcome home, beautiful," with little hearts drawn around it. Here's the thing about Marshall. In our entire relationship, the most romantic gesture he ever managed was ordering takeout from the nice Italian place instead of the cheap one. The man once gave me a Costco gift card for our anniversary. He said it was practical. So you can imagine my shock when I see him with not just a poster, but an enormous bouquet of peonies. My favorite flowers that I've mentioned approximately 800 times always met with his blank stare and a comment about how flowers just die anyway. But wait, it gets better. I'm standing there, partially hidden behind a family reunion, watching my husband shift his weight like a teenager at prom. He's wearing the navy cashmere sweater I bought him last Christmas, the one he claimed made him look too fancy for the hospital. His hair is actually styled. Marshall Hawthorne, who considers running his fingers through his hair adequate grooming, used product. And then I see her. She comes running through the terminal like she's in a Nicholas Sparks movie. Long dark hair flying, designer carry-on bouncing, smile that could sell toothpaste. She can't be more than 28, maybe 30. She's wearing a dress, at an airport. Who wears a dress on a plane unless they're trying to impress someone? Marshall's face lights up like Christmas morning. He drops the poster and opens his arms. She launches herself at him, and he catches her, spinning her around while she wraps her legs around his waist. In the middle of Nashville International Airport, I'm standing 30 feet away, watching my husband embrace another woman with more passion than he's shown me in 5 years. And the worst part? I recognize the watch on his wrist, the Tag Heuer I saved for 6 months to buy him for his 40th birthday. There it is, pressed against this woman's back as he holds her like she's the only person in the world. They kiss, not a peck, a full-on movie trailer. Get a room kiss that makes the elderly couple next to me look away. I should be crying, right? That's what I thought I'd do if I ever caught my husband cheating. But I'm not crying. I'm furious. And more than that, I'm calculating. See, here's what Marshall doesn't know. I'm Vera Hawthorne, and I plan events for a living. Not just any events. Luxury events. Weddings for Nashville's elite, charity galas, corporate parties where million-dollar deals get made over champagne. I orchestrate perfect moments for a living. I control narratives. I turn visions into reality flawlessly. And right now, watching my husband play out this airport romance fantasy with his pharmaceutical rep. Oh yes, I recognize her now. Lila something or other from hospital functions. I'm already planning the greatest event of my career. My divorce party. Let me back up. My name is Vera Hawthorne. I'm 42, and until 3 minutes ago, I thought I had a decent marriage. We live in a gorgeous colonial in Forest Hills, one of Nashville's most exclusive gated communities. I drive a paid-off Mercedes GLE. We have dinner parties. We're country club members. On paper, we're living the dream. We don't have kids. I wanted them once. Marshall always said later, when the practice is more established, when we're more financially secure. Eventually, I stopped asking. I threw myself into my business instead. Turned Elegance Events into Nashville's most sought-after planning company. Built something that was mine. Looking back, I can see when things shifted. About 2 years ago, Marshall started working later, going to more conferences, paying more attention to his appearance. I notice everything. It's my job. But I convinced myself it was a midlife crisis thing. What a fool he thinks I am. Because here's what Marshall doesn't realize. I'm not just some trophy wife who plans parties. I built my business from nothing. I negotiate contracts with vendors who'd eat him alive. I manage bridezillas who make hostile takeovers look friendly. I've dealt with catastrophes that would make a battlefield surgeon weep, all in heels and a smile. Marshall Hawthorne has no idea who he's dealing with. I watch them break apart. She's giggling while he retrieves her luggage. They walk right past me, close enough that I smell her perfume, something floral and expensive, close enough to see the small Tiffany & Co. bag hanging from her wrist. Oh, Marshall. I pull out my phone and start taking pictures. Quick snaps that look like I'm scrolling social media. The two of them walking, his arm around her waist. Marshall loading her bags into his car, the Audi Q7 we bought together, that I make half the payments on. A clear shot of them kissing against the driver's side door. I take video too. Nothing suspicious, just a woman on her phone like everyone else. They drive away. Marshall doesn't glance toward my parking spot 3 rows over. Why would he? He thinks I'm landing tomorrow afternoon. He thinks he has another 24 hours to play house before his boring wife comes home. I stand in that parking garage for 5 minutes after they leave, and I start to laugh. Not sad, hysterical laughter. Genuine, this is actually hilarious laughter. Because Marshall has made the classic mistake every cheater makes. He underestimated me. He sees the woman who plans parties, who makes sure his dry cleaning is picked up and his bourbon is stocked, who smiles at his colleagues' boring stories and doesn't complain when he cancels date night. He doesn't see the woman who negotiated a 6-figure contract with Vanderbilt last month, who has personal cell numbers of half the judges in Davidson County, who knows exactly how much we have in every account because I've been managing our finances for 14 years while he played doctor. I get in my car, but I don't drive home. I point toward downtown, toward my office on Broadway, where I keep files on everything, every receipt, bank statement, credit card charge from the last 5 years, because documentation is everything, and I'm about to document the hell out of Marshall Hawthorne's biggest mistake. I'm not some passive victim waiting to be discarded. I'm Vera Hawthorne. I've planned events for governors, senators, country music stars, and Nashville's wealthiest families. I've coordinated weddings with 500 guests and million-dollar budgets. If Marshall wants to play games, I'm about to teach him he's been playing checkers while I've been playing chess. This is going to be the event of a lifetime. My magnum opus. The party to end all parties. And Marshall Hawthorne is going to be the guest of honor at his own destruction. I park behind the office building and take the elevator to the 3rd floor. It's after 7 on a Tuesday, so the building is empty except for cleaning crew. I unlock my office and flip on the lights. This office has been my sanctuary for 8 years. The place where I built something real. While Marshall was building his orthopedic practice and apparently his secret relationship, I was building an empire. I sit down and open my laptop. I pull up our joint bank accounts first. And there it is. A paper trail lit up with neon signs. Regular transfers to a Venmo account. Small enough not to raise red flags. 200 here, 150 there. But when I scroll back 18 months, we're talking over $15,000. Charges at restaurants I've never been to. Fleming's Steakhouse on a Tuesday when Marshall said he was working late. Distillery on a Friday when he had a consultation. Adele's on Valentine's Day when he claimed the hospital board meeting ran long. I actually felt guilty that night. Guilty for being upset he missed our dinner reservation. He told me the board ordered fancy catering, discussed budget allocations for hours. I believed him. Hotel charges. Not many. Apparently Marshall isn't even good at cheating. But there are a few. The Hutton Hotel last March. Thompson, Nashville in July. 506 lofts in September. Then the real kicker, Tiffany & Co. for $2,847.82, dated October 28th, 2 weeks ago, on our joint credit card. You know what Marshall got me for our 13th anniversary? A spa gift certificate. To a strip mall day spa next to a Panera Bread. Because you work so hard, he said. I was grateful. I posted about it on Facebook with a heart emoji. Best husband ever. Meanwhile, he's dropping almost $3,000 at Tiffany for his girlfriend. I screenshot everything, every transaction, every charge, every suspicious date. I email them to myself at a private Gmail account Marshall doesn't know about. Then I dig deeper. Marshall isn't tech-savvy. He uses the same password for everything, his birthday plus MD. I've known this for years, so it takes me 30 seconds to access his iCloud account. I'm in his photo stream. Hundreds of photos. Lila at restaurants, Lila at Centennial Park, Lila on a weekend trip to Gatlinburg. 3 months ago, when Marshall told me he was at a medical conference in Memphis. Selfies of them together at the Bluebird Cafe, Pinewood Social. All the trendy spots Marshall said were too loud when I suggested we go. Then I find the treasure, a text thread between Marshall and Rick. Rick Chambers, Marshall's college roommate, best man at our wedding. Marshall, taking her to the Gulch tomorrow. Finally pulling the trigger. Rick, about time, man. You've been talking about leaving Vera for 2 years. 2 years? 2 years he's been discussing leaving me. Marshall, I know. But the timing has to be right. After the holidays. Don't want to ruin Christmas, you know. How considerate. He's perfectly fine ruining our marriage, but God forbid he ruins Christmas. Rick, you're too nice, just rip the Band-Aid off. Marshall, soon. Just need everything in place. The apartment lease is signed, and Lila's excited about moving in together. Marshall has an apartment, a lease, in the Gulch, one of Nashville's most expensive neighborhoods. Rick, what about the house? Marshall, Vera can have it. I don't care. I just want out. How generous. Marshall Hawthorne, philanthropist. Marshall, met with the lawyer yesterday. He says as long as we don't have kids, it should be pretty straightforward. Rick, see? Nothing to worry about. Vera will probably be relieved anyway. You guys haven't been happy in years. Haven't been happy in years. That's what Marshall tells people. That we haven't been happy. Like this is mutual. Marshall, you're right. This is for the best. For both of us. Rick, when are you telling her? Marshall, after New Year's. I'll do the holidays. Make it nice for her one last time, then sit her down in January. Make it nice for me one last time. Like I'm a charity case. I sit back and laugh. Not a pleasant sound. Because Marshall doesn't understand. I'm not waiting to be discarded. I'm Vera Hawthorne. I've planned events for Nashville's elite. I've managed crises that would make grown men cry. If Marshall wants games, he's about to learn he's outmatched. I spend 2 hours documenting everything. Every photo, text message, bank statement, hotel receipt. I create a folder structure that would make a forensic accountant weep with joy. Then I research divorce attorneys. The best in Nashville. The ones who handle high-net-worth divorces. The ones who destroy cheating spouses. Victoria Blackwell is a legend. She's represented half the country music divorces in the last decade. Absolutely ruthless protecting her clients. I fill out her website contact form. Urgent matter regarding divorce. Substantial assets involved. Evidence of affair and financial misconduct. Need consultation ASAP. I do the same for 3 other top-tier attorneys. Always have a backup plan. By 10 p.m., my phone has been buzzing. 5 missed calls from Marshall. 7 text messages. Marshall, hey honey, just checking you landed okay in Charleston. Call me when you can. Marshall, getting worried. You usually text when you land. Marshall, Vera? Everything okay? Marshall, probably asleep by now. Have a great last day tomorrow. Miss you. Marshall, love you. Marshall, don't forget we have the hospital gala planning meeting Friday. Need you there. You're so much better at this stuff than me. Love you, miss you, need you. The audacity. The absolute breathtaking audacity of this man sending loving texts while at his secret apartment with his girlfriend. I don't respond. Let him think I'm exhausted and went to bed early. Let him think everything is fine. Because tomorrow, I'm meeting with divorce attorneys. Tomorrow, I'm putting together a plan that will make every event I've coordinated look like a child's birthday party. Tomorrow, Marshall Hawthorne's fantasy life starts crumbling. But tonight, I drive home. To our house in Forest Hills, the house Marshall so generously says I can keep. I pull into the driveway at 10:45. The house is dark. I sit in my car, looking at our home. The colonial with white columns I fell in love with 14 years ago. The azalea bushes I planted. The porch where we used to sit and drink wine before Marshall got too busy. I've built a life here. A good life. And Marshall is ready to throw it away for a 28-year-old who probably thinks Nashville is the capital of Tennessee. We'll see about that. I unlock the front door. Everything is exactly as I left it, Saturday morning. My coffee mug in the sink, the book on the coffee table, the throw blanket on the couch, home, except it doesn't feel like home anymore. It feels like a museum exhibit. I pour wine, the expensive Pinot Noir Marshall bought for a dinner party, and sit at the kitchen table with my laptop. I have work to do, research to conduct, a strategy to develop. In 3 days, I have a consultation with Victoria Blackwell. I'm walking in with enough evidence to bury Marshall Hawthorne so deep he'll need a mining team to find his way out. The best part? He has no idea it's coming. He thinks he has until January. He thinks he's in control. Marshall Hawthorne is about to learn the most important lesson of his life. Never underestimate the woman you betrayed, especially when that woman makes her living turning dreams into reality and nightmares into unforgettable events. Wednesday morning, I wake at 6 a.m. and for 3 seconds, I forget my entire life is a lie. Then reality crashes back. Marshall thinks I'm in Charleston. Marshall is at his secret apartment with Lila. Marshall has been planning to leave me for 2 years. I should feel devastated. Instead, I feel remarkably clear-headed. I make coffee and check emails. 3 divorce attorneys already responded. All can see me this week. Victoria Blackwell's office had a cancellation for Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. Fortuitous timing. I confirm appointments. Victoria Blackwell on Friday. James Patterson at Patterson & Associates Thursday morning. Linda Walsh at Westwood Family Law Thursday afternoon. Then I text Marshall. Me. Sorry. Fell asleep so early. Long day. Conference is great. Miss you too. See you tomorrow afternoon. His response comes within 30 seconds. Marshall. No worries. Glad you're having a good time. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Love you. Love you. The hypocrisy is almost impressive. I spend Wednesday working. 3 client meetings. Virtual, thankfully. Between meetings, I research Tennessee divorce law, community property versus equitable distribution, how courts view dissipation of marital assets, what happens when one spouse uses joint funds to finance an affair. Turns out, judges really don't like that. Tennessee has fault-based divorce. Adultery absolutely affects how assets get divided. Marshall has made every possible mistake. Used joint funds for his affair, documented it all on shared accounts, confessed his plans in text messages, bought expensive gifts for his girlfriend on our credit card. Marshall Hawthorne, brilliant orthopedic surgeon, is an absolute moron at infidelity. By Wednesday evening, I've compiled 47 pages of evidence, meticulously organized, labeled, dated, cross-referenced, bank statements, screenshots, photos, hotel receipts, restaurant charges, the Tiffany receipt, everything. I save it to 3 cloud storage services and email copies to myself. Then I print 2 physical copies, one for my office, one for a safety deposit box Marshall doesn't know exists. Thursday morning, I'm up at 5 a.m. First attorney consultation at 9. I dress carefully. Navy Brooks Brothers pantsuit, cream silk blouse, pearls. Professional. Put together. The look says, successful businesswoman who deserves respect, not falling apart and desperate. James Patterson's office is in the Gulch. Ironically, probably near Marshall's love nest. All glass and chrome. Very expensive looking. James Patterson is mid-50s, expensive suit, firm handshake. The kind of smile that costs $300 an hour. Mrs. Hawthorne, he says, I understand you're dealing with an urgent situation. That's putting it mildly. I slide my 47-page document across his desk. His eyebrows rise as he flips through pages, then rise higher, then practically disappear. This is comprehensive. I'm an event planner. Organization is kind of my thing. I can see that. He reaches the Tiffany receipt and his mouth twitches. Mrs. Hawthorne, in 23 years of practicing family law, I have never seen a case this well documented on day 1. Is that good? Very good. For you. Less good for your husband. I tell him everything. The airport, the flowers, the embrace, the systematic documentation. And your husband doesn't know you know? He thinks I'm in Charleston until this afternoon. He thinks everything is fine. Good. Keep it that way. He leans back. Tennessee is an equitable distribution state. But in cases where one spouse dissipated marital assets to finance an affair, courts factor that in. He used joint funds for hotels, dinners, jewelry for his mistress. That's dissipation. What does that mean for me? You have an excellent case for more than 50% of marital assets. We can argue he owes you reimbursement. If he fights you, we have enough ammunition to bury him. Validation floods through me. However, I notice you don't have children. That simplifies things. No custody battles. We're looking at asset division and possibly alimony. I own my own business, Elegance Events. Last year I cleared $230,000 in profit. His eyebrows rise. And your husband's income? Orthopedic surgeon. Around $450,000 annually, plus bonuses. So there's a disparity, but not massive. You're both high earners. That works in your favor. You're not financially dependent. That narrative plays well. We talk strategy, timeline, expectations. He explains Tennessee requires grounds for divorce. Adultery qualifies. Temporary injunctions to prevent draining accounts. Discovery, depositions, potential trial. But honestly, with evidence like this, most defendants settle. Going to trial means this becomes public record. His affair, his spending, all of it. Most professionals want to avoid that. Next is Linda Walsh at Westwood Family Law. Green Hills office. Less flashy, more intimidating. Linda Walsh is tiny, early 60s, looks like someone's grandmother but has shark eyes. She flips through my documentation at lightning speed. When I'm finished, she looks up. Do you want to hurt him, or do you want to win? What's the difference? Hurting him feels good in the moment. Winning means you get what you deserve and move on intact. Both are valid, but they require different strategies. I want to win. But if hurting him is part of winning, I'm okay with that. Linda Walsh smiles. Terrifying. Then we'll get along just fine. She's more aggressive than James Patterson, direct about what we can demand and prove, leverage the affair evidence, freeze joint accounts, hire a forensic accountant to trace every dollar Marshall spent on Lila. Men like your husband, successful, arrogant, convinced they're smarter than everyone, they make mistakes. You've documented all of them beautifully. How far do you want to take this? As far as I need to. Good answer. By 2 p.m., I have one more stop. The bank. I walk into First Tennessee Bank on West End and ask about our accounts. Sandra, the banker who's helped us for years, greets me warmly. Mrs. Hawthorne, what can I do for you? I need to understand our accounts. I'm concerned about security. Over 45 minutes, I learn exactly what we have everywhere. Withdrawal limits, protections to prevent one spouse from draining accounts. Turns out, not many protections exist. Marshall could theoretically withdraw everything tomorrow. Is there a way to require dual authorization for large withdrawals? Not on standard joint accounts. However, if you're concerned, you could open a separate account in just your name and transfer your portion there. And if my husband asks? Sandra gives me a look suggesting she's seen this movie before. Your financial security is important, Mrs. Hawthorne. You have every right to protect your assets. I don't move money yet. That would tip Marshall off. But I make note of everything. And I open a new business account for Elegance Events, in just my name, that Marshall has no access to and no knowledge of, just in case. By 3:45, according to my fake itinerary, my flight from Charleston is landing at 4:30. I drive to the airport and park where my car's been sitting since Tuesday. At 4:15, I text Marshall. Me. Just landed. Grabbing my bag and heading home. See you soon. Marshall. Great. I'll be home around 6. Want me to pick up dinner? Me. That would be amazing. I'm exhausted. Marshall. Thai food from that place you like? Me. Perfect. Look at us. The perfect couple. Coordinating dinner. It would be sweet if it weren't completely hollow. I drive home, following the route from the airport. I pull into our driveway at 5:20. The house is empty. I walk through with new eyes, seeing everything differently. I try to remember the last time Marshall and I were intimate. 6 months? 8? Longer? I convinced myself it was normal. We were busy, in our 40s, married 14 years. Now I realize things weren't cooling off for Marshall. He was just getting his needs met elsewhere. I pull out my phone. Tomorrow, Friday the 15th, I have my consultation with Victoria Blackwell at 3 p.m. The hospital gala is December 14th. And Marshall plans to ask for a divorce in January, after I've done all the emotional labor of making Christmas perfect. Well, I have news for Marshall Hawthorne. I'm not waiting until January. Marshall's car arrives at exactly 6 p.m. I force myself to breathe normally, relax my shoulders, plaster on my smile. He walks in carrying Thai kitchen bags. Same Marshall, same rumpled work clothes, same tired smile. It was great, I tell him, accepting his cheek kiss, which is all we do now. Exhausting but great. We eat Thai food and talk like everything is normal. Marshall tells me about a complicated surgery. I improvise Charleston conference details. How's work been otherwise? I ask. The usual. Lots of follow-ups. Couple of emergency consults. He drinks water. Oh, I need your help with that hospital gala planning. The committee meeting is Friday afternoon. You can make it, right? Friday afternoon. When I'll actually be in Victoria Blackwell's office, planning his destruction. Absolutely, I say with a smile. Wouldn't miss it. Friday afternoon, 3 p.m. sharp. I walk into Victoria Blackwell's office in the Pinnacle building downtown. The woman is a force of nature. Mid-50s, impeccably tailored gray suit, silver hair in a sharp bob, eyes that could cut glass. She's already reading my 47-page document. Mrs. Hawthorne, she says without looking up. Sit down. This is fascinating. I sit. Wait. Watch her flip through pages with lightning speed and laser focus. Finally, she looks up. Your husband is an idiot. I'm starting to realize that. No, I mean clinically stupid when it comes to covering his tracks. I've seen seasoned criminals with better operational security. She taps the document. This is gift-wrapped evidence. Did he take a class in how to spectacularly fail at having an affair? Despite everything, I laugh. He's very smart about bones, less smart about everything else. Clearly. Victoria leans back. Let me be direct. You have 3 options. 1. We file immediately. Use this evidence to push for a favorable settlement. You walk away with more than your fair share plus reimbursement. Clean option. Fast, efficient, relatively painless. What's option 2? Long game. We monitor activities, gather more evidence, wait for the most strategically advantageous timing, right before a major professional milestone. Then strike. Revenge option. Slower, more satisfying, potentially more lucrative. And option 3? Victoria's smile is predatory. The public education option. We file, refuse to settle quietly, go to trial, make every detail public record, every hotel receipt, every text message, every dollar spent on his mistress. It all comes out in open court where reporters can access it, colleagues can read it. Professional reputation takes a permanent hit. That sounds expensive. It is. Also extremely effective if your goal is making sure he never forgets what he did. She pauses. But what I need to know? What do you actually want? Revenge is fun, but not always strategic. What's your end game? I think about this. Really think. I want Marshall to hurt, to lose something valuable, to understand consequences. But more, I want to win. Walk away with dignity intact, finances secure, life ready for whatever's next. I want Marshall to know he made the biggest mistake of his life underestimating me. I want option 1, but I want him to know it's happening at the worst possible moment. I want the element of surprise. And I want him to understand I knew everything, was 3 steps ahead, and he never had a chance. Victoria's grin could light up a stadium. Now that is something I can work with. Tell me, does your husband have any major professional events coming up? I think through Marshall's schedule, which I've been managing for years. The hospital is hosting a donor gala December 14th. Marshall is receiving an award for excellence in orthopedic surgery. Black tie, all major donors, hospital board, local media coverage. Perfect. And you're involved in planning this event? I'm the lead planner. Elegance Events is handling the entire gala. Victoria actually laughs. Oh, this is too good. So you'll be there, professionally, watching your husband receive an excellence award while knowing his life is about to implode. Mrs. Hawthorne, I think you and I are going to get along beautifully. We spend 90 minutes on strategy. Victoria explains we'll file divorce papers the week after the gala. Close enough that Marshall won't have time to hide assets, but far enough from the event that I maintain my professional reputation. With evidence this strong, most attorneys would advise immediate settlement, Victoria says. The alternative is trial and having this become public. Marshall's attorney will explain this. He'll understand fighting you is professional suicide. What if he fights anyway? Then we go to trial and destroy him. But honestly, men like your husband are cowards. They'll do anything to avoid public humiliation. He'll settle. How much can I expect? Victoria pulls out a calculator. I give her all the numbers. House equity, retirement accounts, savings, investments. She runs numbers. Conservatively, total marital assets of approximately $1.6 million. In a straight 50-50 split, you'd get $800,000. But given dissipation of assets and fault-based divorce grounds, I'd argue 60-40 in your favor. That puts you at $960,000. And the money he spent on Lila? That $15,000 plus? We demand full reimbursement. He pays you back every penny out of his share. $1 million. My share of a marriage that turned out to be elaborate fiction. When do we start? Today. I'll have my paralegal draw up initial paperwork. You sign documents, provide additional financial information, then we wait. You go back to normal life. Plan that gala. Smile at your husband. Play perfect wife for exactly 4 more weeks. Then, the week after he accepts his Excellence Award, we serve him with divorce papers. I leave Victoria's office at 4:45, feeling lighter than I have in days. I have a plan, an advocate, a strategy. Now I just have to survive 4 weeks. Marshall is home when I arrive, which is unusual for Friday evening. He's in the kitchen. Delicious smell from the oven. You're cooking? I ask, genuinely surprised. Thought I'd make your favorite. Chicken piccata. He's wearing an apron. When did we get an apron? You've been working so hard. Figured you could use a nice dinner. Suspicious. Marshall hasn't cooked in 3 years. That's so sweet. What's the occasion? No occasion. Just wanted to do something nice for my wife. We eat dinner, and it's actually good. We talk about the gala, the guest list, the award he's receiving. He's excited. I couldn't have gotten this far without you, he says, squeezing my hand. You've always supported me, Vera. Always been there. I don't say it enough, but I appreciate you. I want to throw wine in his face. I want to tell him I know everything. But I don't. I squeeze his hand back and smile. That's what partners do. We support each other. The next 3 weeks are a masterclass in compartmentalization. Days, I'm Vera Hawthorne, successful event planner, coordinating every detail of the hospital gala. Nights, I'm Vera Hawthorne, future divorcee, meeting with Victoria's paralegal, signing documents, planning Marshall's destruction. Marshall continues his double life with confidence. He's being suspiciously attentive. More dinners, more conversations. He even suggests a movie one weekend. I agree. We share popcorn. I laugh at appropriate moments. The whole time I'm thinking about how he's probably texting Lila. Thanksgiving comes. I host, as always. Marshall's parents from Kentucky. His sister Diane and husband from Memphis. I cook turkey, make homemade stuffing, bake 3 pies, play gracious hostess while Marshall's mother tells me I really should think about having children. We're happy as we are, Marshall says, arm around me. Besides, Vera's career is really taking off. Right, honey? Right, I agree, smiling while internally screaming. By December 14th, I'm running on pure adrenaline and spite. The gala is tonight. Marshall will receive his award. I will smile and clap and pretend to be proud. And then, in exactly 5 days, December 19th at 6 p.m., a process server will knock on our door. The gala is perfect. Of course it is, because I planned it. Schermerhorn Symphony Center looks spectacular. Lighting exactly right. Flower arrangements stunning. Catering impeccable. 250 guests in black tie, drinking expensive wine. I'm wearing a navy blue gown, Marshall complimented. You look beautiful, he said, and sounded like he meant it. Marshall receives his award at 8 p.m. The hospital CEO gives a speech about excellence and dedication. Marshall walks up, accepts his crystal trophy, gives a humble speech about how he couldn't have achieved any of this without his incredible wife. Everyone applauds. Several people smile at me. One colleague mouths, "Lucky guy." I smile back. I clap. I play my role perfectly. And I think about December 19th. After the ceremony, there's dancing. Marshall asks me to dance. We sway to generic jazz while he tells me how grateful he is. "This night wouldn't have been possible without you," he says. "You made it perfect." "That's my job," I tell him. "Not just the event planning. Everything. Our life together. You make it all work." I want to laugh. Our life together. The life where he has a secret apartment and a girlfriend. "We make it work together," I say instead. The evening ends around 11 p.m. Marshall is in such a good mood he's practically glowing. His award sits in the back seat. His career is thriving. His wife planned a perfect event. His girlfriend is waiting for him to pull the trigger on the divorce he's been planning. Everything is going according to Marshall's plan. Except it's not. December 19th arrives with cold, gray weather that feels appropriate for ending a marriage. I've spent 5 days in surreal calm. The process server is scheduled at 6 p.m. sharp. Marshall will be home. I made sure by telling him I wanted a nice dinner to celebrate the gala's success. He seemed touched. "That's so thoughtful, honey. I'd love that." At 5:45 p.m., I'm in our living room wearing jeans and a sweater. Comfortable clothes for comfortable lies. When I hear Marshall's car, my heart pounds, but my hands are steady. Marshall walks in with wine and a smile. "Got your favorite Pinot Noir. Should I open it now or let it breathe?" "Let it breathe," I say. "We have time." At exactly 6 p.m., there's a knock. Marshall looks confused. "Are you expecting someone?" "Actually, yes." "Could you get that?" He walks to the door. I watch from the living room as he opens it to find a man in a suit holding a manila envelope. "Dr. Marshall Hawthorne?" "Yes?" "You've been served." The man hands him the envelope and walks back to his car. Marshall stands in the doorway, staring at the envelope like it might explode. Then he slowly closes the door and turns to me. "Vera? What is this?" "Open it and find out," I say calmly. His hands shake as he opens it. I watch his face as he reads. Confusion, shock, fear. Petition for divorce? His voice cracks. "Vera, what? I don't understand." "Really?" I stand, crossing my arms. "Let me help you understand, Marshall. Tuesday, November 12th. Nashville International Airport. You, with flowers and a poster board, picking up your girlfriend Lila." The color drains from his face. "I can explain." "Oh, I'm sure you can. Just like you can explain the secret apartment in the Gulch, the $15,000 on hotels and dinners, the Tiffany jewelry on our credit card. Should I keep going?" "How did you—" He stops. "You saw us. At the airport. I saw you. I photographed you. I documented everything. Every text message where you told Rick you were planning to leave me. Every hotel receipt. Every romantic dinner. I have it all, Marshall. Every single piece of evidence." He sinks onto the couch, still holding the papers. "Vera, please, let me explain. It's exactly what I think. 2-year affair. Secret apartment. You were going to wait until after holidays to ask for divorce because you didn't want to ruin Christmas. Did I miss anything?" His silence is answer enough. "Here's what's going to happen," I continue. "You're going to read those papers with your attorney. You're going to see the evidence, and trust me, it's comprehensive. You're going to realize fighting me means all this becomes public record. Your affair, your spending, all of it. Then you're going to agree to my terms." What terms?" 60-40 split in my favor. Full reimbursement for every penny you spent on Lila. You don't contest anything. Don't drag this out. Don't try to paint yourself as victim. You sign, we divide assets, we move on. 60-40? Vera? That's not fair. Fair? I actually laugh. Was it fair when you spent our money on hotel rooms? Used our credit card to buy her jewelry? Lied to me for 2 years? He has no answer. Tennessee is a fault-based divorce state, I continue. Adultery is grounds. Dissipation of marital assets affects property division. Judges don't like when spouses use joint funds to finance affairs. So yes, Marshall, 60-40 is generous. If we go to trial, I'll ask for 70-30, and I'll probably get it. His hands still shake as he flips through pages. I never meant to hurt you. But you did. And the worst part? You were planning to keep hurting me. Let me plan Thanksgiving, host your family, coordinate Christmas, smile through it all while knowing you were leaving. Use me for one more holiday season, then discard me in January. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. I read your texts with Rick. After the holidays. Make it nice for her one last time. Like I'm some charity case you need to humor. He looks up, tears in his eyes. I do love you, Vera. I'm not in love with you anymore. Then you should have divorced me 2 years ago, like an adult. Instead, you lied and cheated and spent our money while I kept our life running. While I planned your events and managed your calendar and made sure you looked good. I made you look successful, Marshall, and you thanked me by betraying me. I'm sorry, he whispers. I don't care, and I mean it. I don't care if you're sorry. I care that you face consequences. And you will. He sits there crying. Actual tears while holding papers that will end our 14-year marriage. I feel nothing. No satisfaction. No sympathy. Just cold, clear certainty that I'm doing the right thing. You need to leave, I tell him. Tonight. Pack a bag and go to your apartment. I'm sure Lila will be happy to console you. Vera, please. No, you don't get to please me. You had 2 years, to be honest. You chose to lie. So now you leave. Let your attorney handle everything. And pray I don't change my mind about keeping this quiet. Marshall stands slowly, like he's aged 10 years. What about Christmas? My family. Your family can celebrate with you and Lila. Or you can tell them the truth about why your marriage ended. That's up to you. He walks toward the stairs, then stops. For what it's worth, I really am sorry. You deserved better. You're right. I did. Now go pack. 30 minutes later, Marshall comes downstairs with a suitcase. He pauses at the door, like he wants to say something else. Don't, I tell him. Just go. He goes. The door closes, and I sit in the silence of my house. My house now, really. I wait for emotions to hit. The sadness, the grief, but they don't come. Instead, I feel lighter. My phone buzzes. Victoria Blackwell. Victoria. Process server confirmed delivery. How are you holding up? Me. Better than expected. He left. It's over. Victoria. The beginning of the end. His attorney will be in touch within 48 hours. Get ready for negotiation. Me. I'm ready. The next weeks are a blur of legal meetings. Marshall's attorney, a tired-looking man named Gerald, contacts Victoria on December 21st. They schedule a meeting for December 27th. I spend Christmas alone. Intentionally alone. I order Chinese takeout, watch rom-coms. Don't think about Marshall or Lila or the life I thought I had. The negotiation meeting is surprisingly painless. Marshall doesn't want to fight. His attorney lays out a counteroffer, 55-45 split, and he'll reimburse the $15,000 over 2 years instead of immediately. Victoria looks at me. I nod. Acceptable. But I want it in writing that he admits to the affair and dissipation of assets. No ambiguity? Gerald sighs. Marshall nods miserably. We hammer out details. I keep the house. I'll refinance to buy out his equity. We split retirement accounts according to percentage. Investment accounts get divided. I get the Mercedes, he keeps the Audi. By January 15th, we have a signed settlement. By February 3rd, the divorce is finalized. 14 years of marriage ended with a judge's signature. I walk out of the courthouse that cold February morning as Vera Hawthorne, though I'm already planning to legally change back to Vera Caldwell. Fresh start, clean slate. My phone buzzes with an unknown number. Unknown. I hope you're happy. You destroyed his life. Lila. Probably watching Marshall deal with fallout and deciding I'm the villain. I delete the message without responding. She's not worth my time. 6 months later, I'm in my renovated home office. I turned Marshall's old study into workspace for elegance events. When my phone rings. Vera Caldwell speaking. Ms. Caldwell, this is Jennifer Davis from Nashville Lifestyle Magazine. We're doing a feature on successful female entrepreneurs in Nashville. Your name came up repeatedly. Would you be interested in being interviewed? Absolutely. The interview happens 2 weeks later. Jennifer asks about my business, growth strategy, memorable events. She asks delicately about my recent divorce. It was a learning experience, I tell her honestly. I learned I'm stronger than I thought, that I can handle anything life throws at me, and that sometimes the worst thing that happens turns out to be exactly what you needed. The article runs in September. The headline, Vera Caldwell, Building an Empire, One Event at a Time. There's a photo of me in my office, confident and successful. No mention of being anyone's wife or ex-wife. Just me, my business, my achievements. The article brings 3 new high-profile clients. My calendar fills for 18 months. Elegance Events becomes the most sought-after planning company in Nashville. I hire 2 additional planners to keep up. I run into Marshall once, at a charity event I'm coordinating in October. He's there with Lila, who looks significantly less glamorous than at the airport. Turns out, being with Marshall in reality is different from being the exciting secret girlfriend. Marshall sees me, and his face goes pale. I smile, wave politely, turn back to my conversation with a potential client. I don't have time for my past. I'm too busy building my future. It's been a year since I discovered Marshall's affair at the airport. A year since my world fell apart and I realized I had to rebuild it. And here's what I've learned. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. Sometimes the worst betrayal leads to the best transformation. Sometimes losing what you thought you wanted makes room for what you actually need. I'm not grateful for what Marshall did. I'm not going to pretend his affair was some blessing in disguise. He betrayed me, lied to me, wasted 2 years of my life. But I am grateful for who I became in the aftermath. The woman who documented everything. The woman who planned her revenge with the same precision she brings to weddings and galas. The woman who stood her ground and demanded what she deserved. That woman is someone I'm proud to be. My life now looks different than I imagined a year ago. I live alone in a beautiful house that's entirely mine. I run a thriving business I built from nothing. I have friends, hobbies, freedom. I'm dating, casually, discovering what I actually want in a partner now that I'm not settling. Last week, I planned a divorce party for a client. A celebration of her freedom after leaving a 20-year marriage. Champagne tower, live band, all her friends celebrating her courage to start over. She pulled me aside. You really understand this, don't you? The relief of getting out? I do, because I've been there. Any advice? I thought about everything I learned, about Marshall and Lila and divorce papers, and the moment I decided I wasn't going to be a victim. Yes. Don't wait for permission to demand what you deserve. Don't shrink yourself to make someone else comfortable. And never underestimate your own strength. You're more capable than you think. She hugged me, tears in her eyes. Thank you. Because that's what I do now. I celebrate new beginnings, fresh starts, the courage it takes to walk away and build something better. Marshall thought he was trading up when he chose Lila. He thought he was leaving behind a boring wife for an exciting new relationship. What he actually did was lose the woman who made his life work, who managed his career, planned his events, handled his family, and asked for almost nothing in return. And he'll figure that out eventually. Maybe he already has. But that's not my problem anymore. I have galas to plan, businesses to run, and a life to live. A life that's entirely mine, built exactly how I want it. That airport moment, the moment I saw my husband embrace another woman and my world shattered, turned out to be the moment everything actually began. Not the end of my story, just the end of the chapter where I let someone else write my narrative. Now I'm the author. And this story, it has a very happy ending. Nothing says happy anniversary, quite like watching your husband's tongue explore his assistant's dental work in the company parking lot. 10 years of marriage to Weston Emerson had taught me many things. How to smile through his mother's passive-aggressive comments about my cooking, how to politely applaud when he won another corporate award for essentially moving money from column A to column B, and apparently, how to silently film an affair in progress while maintaining perfect camera stability. Future Oscar nomination for cinematography? Perhaps. I'm Pearl Emerson, 38, event planner extraordinaire. The woman who orchestrates flawless corporate gatherings where boring people in expensive suits pretend to enjoy each other's company. The irony of planning my own anniversary surprise only to receive one in return wasn't lost on me. Tuesday, October 15th started like any other day in our pristine Westchester County neighborhood. Autumn leaves perfectly arranged on manicured lawns as if the HOA had guidelines even for foliage placement. I had taken the afternoon off to prepare for our anniversary. 10 years of what I thought was matrimonial bliss, packaged in a 4,200 square foot colonial, with his and hers walk-in closets. The restaurant reservation at Luminaire had been secured 3 months in advance, because nothing says I love you like planning that far ahead to eat overpriced food. I'd even bought a new dress, something Weston had been subtly hinting at for months with comments like, "Don't you think it's time to refresh your wardrobe?" Translation: "Your current clothes make you look like someone's middle-aged aunt." I decided to surprise him at work, something I hadn't done in years. Why? Because I'm clearly a masochist, or, as my therapist would say, still invested in keeping the relationship fresh. Note to self, fire therapist. Driving into the gleaming Titan Technologies parking lot, I felt a flutter of excitement. The glass monolith where my husband made financial magic happen loomed ahead, catching the afternoon sun in a way that made it look like it was winking at me. Foreshadowing anyone? I spotted Weston's assigned parking spot, the one with the pretentious little sign reading W. Emerson, CFO, and his Tesla was there, but he wasn't in it. At least, not completely. 2 bodies were pressed against the driver's side door. One was definitely my husband. I recognized the overpriced haircut I'd paid for just last week. The other belonged to a woman I'd met at multiple company functions. Vanessa Maxwell, his 27-year-old executive assistant with legs longer than my patience. My brain cycled through reactions faster than Weston cycled through excuses when he forgot to take out the trash. Shock. Rage. An odd calculation of how much alimony I could get. And then, with the clarity of someone who's watched too many revenge movies, I did the only logical thing. I pulled out my phone and started recording in crystal clear 4K. Got to love technology, I whispered to myself, zooming in just enough to capture Weston's wandering hands on Vanessa's waist, the same hands that had given me a perfunctory peck on the cheek this morning before leaving for work. I recorded for exactly 47 seconds. Long enough to establish that this wasn't just a friendly colleague hug gone awry, but not so long that I'd have to witness anything requiring eye bleach later. Then I did something truly inspired. I honked. Not a polite little "excuse me" tap, but a full-on hand pressed firmly to the horn symphony of interruption. They jumped apart like teenagers caught by parents, except teenagers would have shown more dignity. Weston's face performed an impressive transformation from passion to terror, his expression morphing into what I can only describe as man who suddenly remembers he has both a wife and a prenup with a fidelity clause. "Pearl," he squawked, his voice hitting a pitch I didn't know adult men could achieve. "What are you— this isn't—" I rolled down my window, smiled sweetly, and called out, "Hi, honey. Just thought I'd surprise you for our anniversary. Looks like surprises all around today." Vanessa had the audacity to straighten her blouse, as if that would somehow erase what I'd just witnessed. "Mrs. Emerson, this really isn't— Save it for your LinkedIn recommendation, sweetheart." I cut her off, my smile never wavering. Weston started walking toward my car, panic etched across his face. "Pearl, please, let me explain." That's when I did something that would make every wronged spouse in America proud. I put the car in reverse and said, loud enough for both of them to hear, "I already have your explanation, in 4K. Can't wait to show it at the company gala I'm planning next month." The look of pure horror on his face was almost worth the impending emotional trauma. Almost. I drove home with mechanical precision, my mind already formulating what happened next. Most people in my situation would cry, call their mom, or perhaps consume a bottle of wine. But I'm not most people. I'm the woman who planned President Rafferty's campaign fundraiser during a power outage without breaking a sweat. This was just another event to manage. The dismantling of a decade-long marriage. Walking into our house, the one with Weston's name first on the deed despite my down payment contribution. I went straight to our home office. Our anniversary dinner reservation would have to wait. I had more pressing matters to attend to, like downloading the video to 3 separate cloud storage accounts and our home server. Backup is important, kids. My phone started buzzing incessantly. Weston, of course, alternating between calling and texting increasingly desperate messages. It's not what it looks like. Please, let me explain. Where are you? We need to talk. I responded with a single text. Currently busy backing up the video to the cloud. Don't worry, I got your good side. Then I poured myself a glass of the ridiculously expensive scotch Weston had been saving for a special occasion, and sat down at my computer. As an event planner, I knew something fundamental about successful gatherings. Timing is everything, and revenge, like a good soufflé, shouldn't be rushed. The annual Titan Technologies Gala was scheduled for November 18th, just over a month away. The theme I'd chosen, ironically enough, was transparency in business. Every executive would be there, including CEO Soren Hayes, Weston's boss and supposed best friend. The board members, the investors, all present to celebrate another year of record profits. And I, as the event planner hired specifically at Weston's recommendation, had complete control over the audio-visual elements of the evening. As I sipped Weston's scotch, I opened my planning document and made a new entry. Special presentation, honesty and leadership. Below it I typed, duration, 47 seconds. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my best friend Tess Holloway, who, conveniently enough, worked in the accounting department at Titan Technologies. You okay? Weston's running around the office like his hair's on fire, her text read. I smiled for the first time that day. I'm fine. Better than fine. In fact, I'm planning a presentation that's going to bring down the house. The game was on. And unlike my husband, I knew how to play to win. By the time Weston's Tesla pulled into our driveway that evening, I'd already ordered Thai takeout and changed into my comfiest loungewear. Not the cute kind, but the I've given up trying to impress you variety. Somehow eating pad thai in ratty sweats while plotting your husband's professional demise just hits different. The front door opened with that tentative creak that only accompanies someone who knows they're in deep trouble. Weston entered like a condemned man approaching the gallows, clutching, wait for it, a bouquet of roses that screamed, gas station impulse purchase. Pearl? His voice had that trembling quality usually reserved for people calling their credit card company about suspicious charges. Can we talk? I glanced up from my noodles, chopsticks poised midair. About what? Your pathological inability to keep your tongue in your own mouth? Or the fact that you bought me grocery store flowers on our 10th anniversary? He placed the sad bouquet on our imported Italian marble countertop, the one he'd insisted on during our renovation despite my preference for quartz. The roses slouched to one side like Weston's moral compass. What you saw today? He began. What I recorded today, I corrected, smiling sweetly while twirling noodles. He flinched. It's not a regular thing. Oh, so it's just an occasional thing? Well, that changes everything. I placed my container down with theatrical care. Here I was thinking you were having a full-blown affair, but if you're only intermittently betraying our marriage, I should probably be thanking you for your restraint. Weston sank onto one of our designer bar stools, the ones featured in Architectural Digest during that home spread he'd insisted on. It just happened, Pearl. Vanessa and I were working late on the Kendrick acquisition. Fascinating how working late translates to horizontal mambo in the parking lot. Harvard Business Review should do a feature. It was a moment of weakness, he continued, rubbing his temples in that way he did when trying to appear tortured and sympathetic, a move I'd seen him practice before board meetings. The stress of the merger, the long hours. I'm planning the president's charity dinner next month with a budget that was slashed in half, yet somehow I managed not to fall face first into my assistant's mouth. Crazy how that works. My phone buzzed. A text from Tess. Vanessa called in sick tomorrow. Soren's asking questions. You okay? I smiled at my phone, then looked up at Weston. Seems like Vanessa's experiencing some workplace discomfort. Must be going around. Weston's face paled. You haven't told anyone, have you? Define anyone. He stood up so fast the bar stool wobbled. Pearl, this could ruin my career. The board has a strict morality clause. If Soren finds out his best friend is sleeping with a subordinate half his age, yes, that would be unfortunate, wouldn't it? Almost as unfortunate as finding out your husband of 10 years is a walking cliché. I'll end it with her. Today. Right now. He pulled out his phone. I laughed. Not a cute chuckle, but the full-bodied laugh of someone who's crossed into a new dimension of disbelief. You think that's the solution? Sorry, honey, I'll stop cheating now that I've been caught? Do I have welcome tattooed on my forehead? The doorbell rang. We both froze. Expecting someone? Weston asked, hope flashing across his face like he thought it might be a marriage counselor I'd miraculously arranged in the past 2 hours. Actually, yes. I walked to the door, swinging my hips with renewed confidence. Standing on our porch, holding a bottle of expensive champagne, was Meredith Emerson, Weston's mother and my personal tormentor for the past decade. Surprise, she trilled, brushing past me without waiting for an invitation. I couldn't miss my favorite couple's anniversary. Weston's face achieved a new shade of white I'd previously only seen on paint swatches labeled Designer's Surrender. Mother, this isn't really a good time, he started. Nonsense. I drove all the way from Greenwich. She spotted my takeout containers. Oh, you're eating in? On your anniversary? Her tone suggested I'd committed a war crime. Change of plans, I said cheerfully. Weston had an unexpected performance at work today. Meredith's eyes narrowed as she sensed the tension. In 10 years of marriage, I'd never seen her miss an opportunity to blame me for any discord. What's going on? She looked between us suspiciously. I smiled, channeling her own passive-aggressive energy right back at her. Why don't you ask your son about his executive assistant? The one with legs up to her earlobes and apparently skills that extend well beyond administrative duties. Pearl! Weston hissed. Meredith's perfectly Botoxed forehead attempted to frown. What is she talking about, Weston? Nothing, Mother. Pearl and I are just having a disagreement about whether making out with your 27-year-old assistant in the company parking lot constitutes grounds for divorce. I pulled out my phone. Would you like to see the video? The lighting is excellent. The silence that followed was so complete, you could hear the ice melting in my abandoned drink. Meredith's face performed an Olympic-worthy routine of expressions, landing finally on something between horror and calculation. I'm sure there's been some misunderstanding, she said finally, her socialite training kicking in. These young assistants can be so aggressive these days. They see a successful man and just throw themselves. Save the victim-blaming script, Meredith. I cut in. Unless Vanessa has the ability to control Weston's hands, which were firmly planted on her backside, I don't think we can pin this on female aggression. Weston collapsed onto the sofa, head in hands. This isn't happening. That's exactly what I thought when I saw you playing tonsil hockey in broad daylight, I replied. Yet here we are. Meredith set down her champagne with the deliberate care of someone about to switch tactics. Pearl, dear, marriages go through difficult phases. When Weston's father had his indiscretion with his secretary. Wow, I interrupted, genuinely stunned. So that's where he learned it? Family tradition passed down like a recipe for betrayal soufflé? Weston's head snapped up. Dad cheated on you? Meredith waved dismissively. That's not the point. The point is, I forgave him, and we had 15 more years together before his heart attack. 15 years of what? I asked. Silent resentment? Checking his phone while he slept? Planning elaborate accidents that would look natural? Her lips thinned. Marriage requires sacrifice. I've sacrificed plenty, I said, surprising myself with the sudden emotion in my voice. I've sacrificed girls' nights to attend his boring work functions. I've sacrificed my dignity sitting through your holiday dinners where you critique everything from my career to my childless status. I've even sacrificed my own career advancement to move here for his promotion. I turned to Weston. But I won't sacrifice my self-respect. Not for you, not for this marriage, and certainly not to maintain appearances for the country club crowd. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Tess. Emergency board meeting called for tomorrow morning. Soren's asking for financial records on all executive expenses. I smiled. Tess, bless her accounting heart, had wasted no time. As the head of financial compliance, she had access to all expense reports, including the ones showing Weston's numerous business dinners with Vanessa at hotels around the city. Something amusing? Meredith asked icily. Just the beginning of consequences, I replied. You know what they say. Karma comes after everyone eventually. Some people just need priority shipping. Weston lunged for my phone. What did you do? I stepped back, clutching my phone to my chest. Me? I didn't do anything, yet. But it seems the universe has Amazon Prime. His face contorted. You're trying to ruin me. No, sweetheart, I said with deadly calm. You did that all by yourself. I'm just making sure everyone gets the memo. Meredith stepped between us. This is getting out of hand. Whatever Weston did, destroying his career won't solve anything. Think about your future, Pearl. I am thinking about my future, I replied. For the first time in years, actually. And surprisingly, it looks brighter without a cheating husband and a mother-in-law who thinks infidelity is a family heirloom to be passed down through generations. I grabbed my keys from the counter. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a gala to plan. It's going to be a night everyone remembers, especially you, Weston. As I headed for the door, I turned back one last time. Oh, and Meredith? That champagne you brought? It's from 2019. A terrible year. Just like your son's judgment. I spent the night at Tess's downtown condo, the kind of sleek, minimalist space that screams, successful single woman who doesn't need to accommodate a cheating husband's golf trophies. We stayed up until 2 a.m., drinking wine that didn't come from Weston's precious cellar collection, and plotting with the methodical precision usually reserved for military coups or Taylor Swift stadium tours. You're sure about the expense reports? I asked Tess, who was cross-legged on her white sofa, laptop balanced on her knees. She nodded, scrolling through a spreadsheet that looked like the financial equivalent of a crime scene. 6 different business dinners at the Langham Hotel in the past 3 months. Room service charges for 2. Unless Weston suddenly developed multiple personalities who all needed their own breakfast, he wasn't dining alone. The Langham, I repeated, swirling my wine. That's where he said he was meeting potential investors from Chicago. Only investor he was meeting was in his assistant's career development, Tess muttered. Oh, and there's more. He's been transferring company funds to a private account. I nearly spat out my Cabernet. He's embezzling? Not technically. He's been moving his annual bonus into a separate account you don't have access to. Started exactly 2 years ago. 2 years. The timing hit me like a sledgehammer to the chest. That was when I'd mentioned wanting to start our own event planning company. An idea Weston had dismissed as risky and impractical. Apparently, he'd been planning his own exit strategy while criticizing mine. The account has almost $400,000 in it, Tess continued. Enough for a fresh start with someone younger who doesn't remember you when you had a receding hairline and acid reflux from eating spicy food, I said, the bitterness in my voice surprising even me. My phone buzzed. Weston's 17th missed call of the evening, followed immediately by a text. Please come home. We can fix this. I showed Tess, who rolled her eyes with the expertise of someone who'd been witnessing bad male behavior since junior high. Translation: please come home so I can gaslight you into thinking this is somehow your fault for being too busy with your career. Or, please come home because Mother is still here and she's making me uncomfortable with her pointed questions about whether I've always been this stupid. We laughed, but mine felt hollow. 10 years of my life invested in a man who couldn't even cheat with originality. The CFO sleeping with his young assistant. It was like he'd ordered his midlife crisis from a catalog. Wednesday morning arrived with the crisp October clarity that makes you believe anything is possible, including elaborate revenge on a philandering spouse. I dressed in one of my power outfits, a perfectly tailored black pantsuit that I knew made me look both competent and unapproachable, the corporate equivalent of a do not disturb sign. What's the plan? Tess asked, handing me a coffee as we prepared to head to our respective offices. First, I need to talk to Soren. Before Weston spins this into me being the vindictive wife trying to ruin him over a misunderstanding. Soren Hayes, CEO of Titan Technologies and Weston's supposed best friend, had always treated me with the distracted cordiality of someone who views his executive spouses as pleasant but unnecessary background characters. Today, that would change. I texted him directly. Need to meet regarding the gala. Also have sensitive information about executive conduct that requires immediate attention. His response came within minutes. My office, 9:30. Titan Technologies headquarters loomed before me, all glass and steel and corporate ambition. Walking through the lobby felt like entering a gladiator arena, except instead of lions, I'd be facing down corporate politics and a husband who'd underestimated me for the last time. Several employees did double takes as I passed, word clearly having spread that something was amiss in the Emerson marriage. One brave soul, Jenkins from marketing, actually asked, "Everything okay, Mrs. Emerson?" Weston seems distracted today. I smiled with all the warmth of an Arctic front. Fascinating observation, Jenkins. Perhaps his conscience is weighing heavily on his libido. Jenkins turned the color of an overripe tomato and suddenly remembered an urgent meeting elsewhere. Soren's corner office offered a panoramic view of Westchester County, the kind of vista that makes powerful men feel even more powerful. He rose from behind his imposing desk when I entered, his expression a mixture of concern and calculation. "Pearl," he began, "I've called an emergency board meeting for 11 Dokao. Before we go in, I need to know exactly what's happening with Weston." I placed my phone on his desk and hit play without preamble. The video of Weston and Vanessa's parking lot rendezvous spoke for itself. Soren's face remained impressively impassive, the result of years negotiating with tech giants and venture capitalists. When the video ended, he sighed deeply. "How long has this been going on?" he asked, his tone measured. "The affair? Based on expense reports showing intimate dinners and hotel stays, at least 3 months. But that's not all." I pulled out the financial documents Tess had provided. He's been hiding money, his bonuses, in a private account I didn't know about. Started 2 years ago. Soren studied the papers, his expression darkening. "This violates at least 2 clauses in his contract. The board will demand action." He looked up at me. "What do you want, Pearl?" The question caught me off guard. In all my anger and plotting, I hadn't actually formulated what I wanted as an outcome. Revenge, yes. Justice, absolutely. But the specifics? "I want what I've earned," I said finally. 10 years of supporting his career, of planning events that made this company look good, of being the perfect corporate wife. I want acknowledgement that I added value while he subtracted trust. Soren nodded slowly. "You've always been too smart for him." I told him that once at a Christmas party. He laughed it off. This revelation stunned me. "You knew that he didn't appreciate you? Everyone knew. That he was cheating? No. I wouldn't have tolerated that." He tapped the financial documents. "Or this." The intercom buzzed. "Mr. Hayes, the board is assembling in the conference room, and Mr. Emerson is asking to speak with you urgently. Tell him I'm in a meeting," Soren replied. "We'll see him at 11 AO. He turned back to me. "The gala is next month. You're still planning it?" A slow smile spread across my face. "Oh, absolutely. In fact, I've been considering a special presentation about corporate transparency." Soren's eyebrow arched. "The board would normally need to approve any changes to the program. Or," I countered, "the CEO could authorize it as a special initiative." He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. "You know, Pearl, we have an opening in our corporate events division, director level. The previous person left to pursue other opportunities. Is that so?" I kept my tone neutral, but my heart raced. The role oversees all company events globally. Requires extensive travel, creative control, and comes with significant stock options. He slid a folder across the desk. "Your qualifications would be ideal." I opened the folder to find a job description with a salary that made my eyes widen. This wasn't just a job offer. It was independence. Freedom. The very thing Weston had discouraged me from seeking. "Why?" I asked simply. "Because talent deserves recognition. And because I've been waiting for an excuse to restructure the executive team for months. Weston's been coasting on past performance while taking credit for other people's work, including yours." The pieces clicked into place. The real reason Weston had been so against my career advancement, it would have threatened his own carefully constructed image. The board meeting, I began, will determine Weston's future at the company, Soren finished. But regardless of the outcome, your opportunity stands. My phone buzzed with a text from Tess. Boardroom filling up. Weston looks like he's about to throw up on his Ferragamo loafers. I showed Soren, who actually chuckled. Shall we? He asked, gesturing toward the door. As we walked down the hallway toward the boardroom, I felt a strange sense of calm. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming my worth. One more thing, I said, stopping just before the boardroom doors. About the gala presentation. The one about transparency? Soren's eyes gleamed with understanding. I'm thinking we should make it the centerpiece of the evening. Really drive home the company's commitment to ethical behavior. He nodded slowly. I believe that can be arranged. After all, nothing says corporate values quite like a real-world demonstration. As we pushed open the doors to face the board, and Weston, I couldn't help but think that sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the betrayal. It's rising from its ashes more powerful than before. The Titan Technologies boardroom resembled a luxury bunker, all mahogany panels and leather chairs, designed to make important people feel even more important while they made decisions affecting thousands of lives. Today, it would witness the corporate execution of one Weston Emerson, who sat at the far end looking like he'd swallowed a particularly spiky cactus. As Soren and I entered, all 14 board members turned in perfect synchronicity, like those horror movies where possessed dolls track you with their eyes. Weston half rose from his chair, then seemed to think better of it when he saw my expression, which I'd carefully calibrated to volcanic but controlled. Mr. Hayes, Mrs. Emerson, greeted Eleanor Blackwood, the board chairwoman whose silver bob and perpetual scowl had terrorized underperforming executives for 2 decades. I understand we have some sensitive matters to discuss. Indeed, Soren replied, gesturing for me to take a seat directly opposite Weston. Mrs. Emerson has brought some concerning information to my attention regarding both personal and professional conduct. Weston's face performed an impressive color-changing routine, from ghost white to fire engine red in under 3 seconds. I can explain, he blurted. Eleanor raised one perfectly manicured hand. I believe we should hear the accusations first, Mr. Emerson. Professional courtesy. Professional courtesy. Something Weston had apparently forgotten existed while he was busy giving Vanessa her performance review in the parking lot. Soren nodded toward me. Pearl, would you like to begin? I smiled, the kind of smile that makes men instinctively protect their vital organs. I'd be delighted. I placed my phone on the table and connected it to the room's presentation system. Yesterday, I discovered my husband, your chief financial officer, engaged in an inappropriate relationship with his direct report, Vanessa Maxwell. Alleged relationship, Weston interjected desperately. Visual evidence suggests otherwise, I replied, pressing play. The 47-second video of Weston and Vanessa's parking lot passion played on the giant screen usually reserved for quarterly earnings reports. The room fell so silent, you could hear the collective tightening of 14 sphincters. One board member actually removed his glasses, cleaned them, and put them back on, as if better vision might somehow change what he was seeing. When the video ended, I continued with clinical precision. Beyond the obvious ethical violation of engaging with a subordinate, financial records indicate Mr. Emerson has been using company resources to facilitate this relationship. Tess, bless her accounting soul, stepped forward with copies of the expense reports. 6 separate occasions where Mr. Emerson charged the company for business dinners that were actually romantic rendezvous at the Langham Hotel, complete with room service for 2 and extended stays. Eleanor's scowl deepened to Death Valley proportions. Is this accurate, Mr. Emerson? Weston looked like a man watching his career plummet from the top floor of a very tall building. The expenses were legitimate business. Unless your business includes ordering champagne and strawberries at 11 p.m., I think we can all agree on what kind of business was being conducted, Tess interrupted, sliding specific receipts toward the board members. And there's more, I added, my voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through me. Mr. Emerson has been diverting his company bonuses to a private account unknown to me, his spouse, for the past 2 years. While not technically embezzlement, it does raise questions about financial transparency and potential preparation for, shall we say, an undisclosed exit strategy. The board members exchanged glances that could only be described as sharks sensing blood in the water. These are serious allegations, Eleanor said, turning to Soren. What is your recommendation as CEO? Soren leaned forward. Our company values explicitly prohibit relationships between managers and their direct reports. They also mandate financial transparency from all executives. Given the evidence, I recommend immediate termination. Weston half rose again. This is ridiculous. 10 years of service to this company, and you're going to fire me over a momentary indiscretion? 6 hotel stays suggest your concept of momentary needs revision, Eleanor observed dryly. Perhaps your timekeeper needs calibration along with your moral compass. What about her? Weston pointed at me, desperation making him reckless. She's planning something for the gala, some kind of public humiliation. Ask her. All eyes turned to me. The gala, I said smoothly, will proceed as planned, with one minor adjustment. The theme of transparency in business will be emphasized through a special presentation highlighting the company's renewed commitment to ethical conduct. Mr. Hayes has already approved the changes. You're trying to destroy me, Weston hissed. I met his gaze steadily. No, Weston. I'm simply allowing your actions to have their natural consequences. Something you've avoided your entire privileged life. Eleanor cleared her throat. I believe we've heard enough. The board will deliberate privately. Mr. Emerson, please wait outside. Mr. Hayes, Mrs. Emerson, you may stay. Weston stood, straightened his designer tie, the one I'd given him last Christmas, and walked out with all the dignity of a man whose pants were caught in an escalator. The deliberation took precisely 12 minutes. When Weston was called back in, Eleanor didn't bother with pleasantries. Mr. Emerson, your employment with Titan Technologies is terminated, effective immediately. Security will escort you to clear out your personal items. Your company car privileges are revoked. Your stock options are frozen pending further review, and your final paycheck will reflect deductions for misused company funds. Weston swayed slightly, like a tree in the first stages of falling. You can't do this. I built half the client relationships this company depends on. Actually, Soren interjected, our client satisfaction surveys indicate it was your team that maintained those relationships, often despite your involvement, not because of it. Watching your husband's carefully constructed professional facade crumble is a unique experience, like seeing a wax figure melt in real time, revealing nothing beneath the surface. Pearl, Weston turned to me, his voice suddenly soft. Are you really going to let this happen? 10 years of marriage. 10 years, I repeated, during which you discouraged my career aspirations, hid money from me, and ultimately betrayed not just our marriage but your professional ethics. So yes, I'm really going to let this happen. In fact, I'm going to help it happen. I turned to the board. There's one more thing you should know. I've accepted Mr. Hayes' offer to become the new director of global events for Titan Technologies. I'll be overseeing all corporate functions worldwide, including, of course, next month's gala. The look on Weston's face was worth every second of the past 48 hours. Pure, unadulterated shock, followed by the dawning realization that I would now be employed by the very company that had just fired him. You planned this, he whispered. No, I corrected. I adapted to changing circumstances. Something you taught me was essential in business. Consider it the one valuable lesson I'm taking from our marriage. Security arrived with impressive timing. 2 broad-shouldered men in suits who flanked Weston with professional detachment. Your office has been secured, Mr. Emerson, one of them said. We'll escort you to collect your personal items. As Weston was led away, Eleanor turned to me with something almost approaching a smile. Mrs. Emerson, or should I say, Director Emerson, I look forward to seeing what you do with the gala. Based on today's performance, I expect it will be memorable. Oh, it will be, I assured her. Nothing says corporate reinvention quite like watching the old guard fall and the new guard rise. After the board members filed out, Soren stayed behind with me in the emptying boardroom. Was it worth it? He asked quietly. I considered the question. Justice usually is, though I suspect the real satisfaction will come next month at the gala. About that, he said. What exactly are you planning to show? I smiled. Nothing that happened today. That would be unprofessional and potentially actionable. Then, let's just say I've been collecting evidence of Weston taking credit for other people's work for years. Emails, presentation drafts, recorded meetings. The presentation will simply restore credit where it's due. Soren laughed. Remind me never to cross you, Pearl. That, I said, gathering my things, is probably the smartest business decision you'll make all year. As I walked out of Titan Technologies that day, not as Weston Emerson's wife, but as their new director of global events, I realized that sometimes the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served with a promotion, a corner office, and the satisfying knowledge that your ex-husband is currently explaining to his mother why he's unemployed, publicly humiliated, and facing divorce proceedings. And I hadn't even gotten to the gala yet. November 18th arrived crisp and clear. Perfect weather for career resurrection and ex-husband humiliation. The month following Weston's spectacular professional implosion had been eventful, to say the least. He'd moved in with his mother in Greenwich, a punishment that almost made me feel sorry for him. Almost. Divorce papers had been filed faster than a YouTube copyright claim, with my lawyer discovering that secret account wasn't Weston's only financial sleight of hand. Turns out, when your soon-to-be ex's professional reputation is in tatters, his negotiating position weakens considerably. Meanwhile, my new office at Titan Technologies offered a view that made Weston's former space look like a storage closet. Soren had been true to his word. The director of global events position came with actual power. Not just a fancy title and expectations to order lunch for the real executives. The annual gala was being held at the Whitney Museum. My choice, not the country club Weston had initially booked. 500 of the industry's elite gathered in designer formal wear, sipping champagne that cost more than some people's monthly rent, while pretending to care about the art surrounding them. I stood at the entrance in a crimson dress that had cost precisely 1 day of my new salary, greeting attendees with the confident smile of someone who had orchestrated not just an event, but a resurrection. Pearl, Tess approached, stunning in midnight blue. The place looks amazing. Very different from last year's snooze fest at the golf club. Amazing what happens when you prioritize style over stuffy tradition, I replied, accepting a glass of champagne from a passing server. Have you heard from him? She asked, lowering her voice. You mean besides the desperate settlement offers and the drunk text comparing me to Judas? Not recently. I sipped my champagne. Though I did hear from Meredith yesterday. Apparently, living with a 41-year-old unemployed son is straining her bridge club schedule. Tess snorted. Karma really doesn't mess around once it gets going. Speaking of karma, I nodded toward the entrance where Vanessa Maxwell had just arrived, looking uncomfortable in a conservative black dress that screamed, "Please don't notice me." After Weston's firing, she'd been transferred to the accounting department, a lateral move that Tess assured me involved spreadsheets far less exciting than hotel bedspreads. The board had decided that firing her would look like victim blaming, but keeping her in executive administration would send the wrong message. Accounting purgatory was the compromise. Should we say hello? Tess asked with mock innocence. I think my successful existence is greeting enough, I replied. The evening proceeded with choreographed precision. Dinner, speeches, awards. Then came the moment I'd been planning for weeks. Soren took the stage, adjusting the microphone with practiced ease. Tonight's theme is transparency in business, he began. Recent events have reminded us that integrity isn't just a word on our mission statement. It's the foundation of everything we do. Subtle murmurs rippled through the crowd. Everyone knew about Weston's downfall. It had been the subject of industry gossip for weeks. To demonstrate our commitment to giving credit where it's due, I'd like to introduce our new director of global events, Pearl Emerson, who has prepared a special presentation. I took the stage to generous applause, some genuine, some curious. The lights dimmed, and the presentation began. What followed wasn't the public humiliation of Weston that everyone expected. Instead, it was a masterclass in professional restoration. I showcased projects from throughout Titan's history, correctly attributing innovations to their actual creators, many of whom were middle managers or team members whose contributions had been claimed by executives like Weston. The presentation ended with a new company initiative, the Innovation Recognition Program, designed to ensure that good ideas were attributed to their sources, regardless of title or position. The applause was thunderous. Afterward, Eleanor Blackwood approached me, her perpetual scowl softened to merely mild disapproval. "Not what I expected, Director Emerson." "Disappointed by the lack of bloodshed?" I asked. "Impressed by your restraint," she corrected. "You could have burned it all down. Instead, you built something better." I smiled. Revenge is momentarily satisfying. Building a legacy lasts longer. Later that evening, as the party wound down and the last executives stumbled into their waiting town cars, I found myself alone on the museum's terrace, contemplating the Manhattan skyline, all glittering promise and sharp edges, much like my new life. Tess joined me, offering another glass of champagne. "Penny for your thoughts?" "I was just thinking about something my grandmother used to say. When someone shows you who they are, thank them for the information." Wise woman. She also said men who cheat deserve to have their belongings set on fire. But her first saying was more quotable. We laughed, the sound carrying across the terrace into the November night. "So what now?" Tess asked. "You've got the career, the settlement, the professional respect. What's next for Pearl Emerson 2.0? I considered the question, watching my breath form clouds in the cool air. "I'm thinking Europe. Titan's London office needs an events overhaul, and I've never lived abroad." "Running away?" "Strategic advancement," I corrected. "Besides, I hear British men have much better accents when they inevitably disappoint you." 1 month later, I stood in Heathrow Airport with 2 suitcases and a carry-on containing the essentials: clothes, passport, and divorce papers signed by Weston, who had finally accepted that no amount of begging would undo the consequences of his actions. My phone buzzed with a text from Tess. "Heard Weston's interviewing for a job in Minneapolis. Vanessa's not relocating with him. Shock of the century. Call me when you land." I smiled, tucking my phone away as I headed toward the taxi stand. They say living well is the best revenge, but I'd discovered something better. Living authentically. Weston had done me a favor, really. In trying to diminish me, he'd set me free. And that, unlike his fidelity, his financial honesty, or his professional ethics, was something I could genuinely thank him for.